And you know what I do? I go through the roster. Sometimes I get pretty surgical with my fragrance hobby, and I'll go through the names of the fragrances. I'll go through the note breakdown. I'll go through the noses behind the fragrance, and of course, the reputation of the brand. So I get pretty heavy into a fragrance house before I even pull the trigger sometimes. Now with this brand right here, going through the roster, there was one name that popped up and made me happy. And that was the name By The Fireplace. Now, anybody that knows me knows that I like my smoky scents. And with a name like that, I'm thinking either we're going to have a smoky scent or we're going to have a woody scent. Both cases, good to go. One thing that did stand out when I first laid my nose on By The Fireplace was this thing's a lot sweeter than I expected. But we do have some smoke. Keep it tuned in. Pop the cherries next. What time it is? It is time to pop the cherry on this one. This is where I pop the cork on a fragrance and give you my first real test on skin. I've worn this fragrance as my scent of the day today, and I'm going to inform you how it went. Good or bad? No punches are held back on the Robes Away channel. Today, as the title suggests, it is no secret to you. You clicked on the video, you've seen the thumbnail, you've seen the title. I'm trying out By The Fireplace, by the house. It's called Maison Margiela, also known as Replica, or also known as just Maison Margiela. Now, this is my first fragrance from the brand. I know they're readily available in Sephora. I don't even have a Sephora in my hometown, so yeah, I'm pretty tiny town here. Presentation, very nice. I like that it has the Le Labo style. It's not a sticker, it's actually a piece of cotton fabric. Very nice. And then of course you got the little rope-like look around the atomizer. No cap on this one. But as you guys know, I'm a sucker of presentation, box, fragrance, atomizer. I look under the hood on everything on a particular fragrance, and I'm kind of impressed with this house of Replica. So talking about looking under the hood, let's look under the hood on this one for some stats. It was released in 2015. Funny enough, in our fragrance community, it took a little bit of while for people to discover this fragrance and start the hype. So a couple of years later, we got a little hype in our fragrance community on this particular fragrance. The nose behind this is Marie Salamang. Very impressive resume, including many from the house of Atelier des Arts, which is a brand that I'm keeping my nose on. I need to get a fragrance from that brand. Guerlain, Kenzo, Jo Malone, among others. Now, how did I get my hands on By The Fireplace? It was a split conducted by a fellow fragrance reviewer, Dan My Maker's Mish. Thank you so much, Dan. He split this one, By The Fireplace, and followed by Kerosene. So that was a hell of a split for me. Two great fragrances that are already made top 20 lists on my channel. So very good purchases for me. Major notes to my nose. Again, this is just a first real impression on this fragrance. I like living with a fragrance just for the day. I give you guys as much detail as I can. And the notes that I got from this, everybody knows about the chestnut in this fragrance. Everybody talks about the chestnut in fragrance reviews. But the vanilla, of course, is very prominent. You're going to get that sweetness. But I'm excited a little bit. I'm waving my hands a little bit. The Guaiac Wood in this one. Oh, the Guaiac Wood. That is your X factor in By The Fireplace. And I'll tell you why later on. Well, let's talk about that. Let's spray this one on the back of my hand. And I'm going to remind myself of the opening of this fragrance. And very warm, cozy, smoky, gourmandish, sweetness, a little bit of woods, very interesting scent. There is depth in here. You're not going to miss any depth in this one. Very well done. The opening of By The Fireplace smells like money in the bank to me. Really enjoyed this set up top. such a winning start. It reminds me of other sweet designers though, most notably Stronger With You by the House of Armani, because they utilize chestnut. So you'll see, and they both utilize sweetness too. So you'll see some resemblance. Price point, I would have to say they're pretty close to the Armani fragrances are pretty expensive. I felt like this one's a little better built, and I mean like a tad better built, much smoother to on my skin. You are immediately met with some sweet vanilla in this fragrance that at times kind of reminds me of a marshmallow, and I think it's because of maybe that smokiness on the vanilla kind of makes me think of By the Fireplace, and maybe I'm by the fire with some marshmallows, but it has a marshmallow-like idea to the vanilla. It really doesn't smell like vanilla, it smells like marshmallows. The roasted chestnuts are in here, of course. It's a main player in the opening. They're paired elegantly with some cloves here, so we're gonna get some spice, and that immediately gives the scent that comforting feel. It's going to give this fragrance the warmth, and it is going to give me the imagination of two colors, two of the same type of colors, light brown and dark brown, kind of like a chestnut. It just reminds me of light and dark brown. There's some orange blossom in here too. It's going to give it some freshness. It does have to have a little bit of a balance. So the orange blossom does give it some balance, but it's fairly faint. This is more of a darker scent. This is met with, of course, that Guaiac Wood, and that's the star of the show. The Guaiac Wood shows less of its tar-like qualities up top. It's going to show a little bit more of it more in the Drydown. Some people feel like it smells like hot ashes or something like that. That's what the Guaiac Wood's doing right there. But it's more balsamic here in the opening. It's giving it honeyed sweetness that Guaiac Wood could do, with some mild smoke to the fragrance. Just enough of smoke. This is not a smoke heavy fragrance. Now, I got a lot of niche smoke heavy fragrances that smoke is just engulfing you. No, this is a piece of the puzzle in this particular fragrance. It also has a little bit of earthy qualities that the Guaiac Wood would give. So it gives a lot of those nuances in By the Fireplace. Very well played. The Guaiac Wood is well done. It meshes well with vanilla and cloves in fragrances, and it does a fantastic job to give this fragrance some depth in the opening, and of course some more into the Drydown. Do you want to know more? Of course you do. Let's talk about the Drydown. So that's the important part. The opening's nice. Let's get more into the Drydown. As I'm wearing it today, that sweetness is still peeking through. The Drydown of By the Fireplace doesn't move much, to be quite honest. You continue to get more of the smoke. You're gonna get some woody nuances that come out a little bit more here in the Drydown. The spices are still there. The cloves are still there. They're turned down a notch a little bit. The vanilla is very prominent and does smooth out the fragrance quite a bit in the Drydown. And the chestnut shows itself. It made kind of like a little bit of a trick, and I can't wait to actually delve in this fragrance for a full-fledged review, because I felt like the chestnut came in and out of the fragrance. I was like, oh, the star of the show is kind of dipped in the Drydown, and then oh, there she is. So it came back. So that was interesting, and I got to note that in my notes and see if I get that when I do my full-fledged review. The Guaiac Wood is simply the star of the show, showing so many of its facets more into this Drydown. Intriguing that many simply discuss the chestnut, but this is a Guaiac heavy fragrance to my nose, and of course that vanilla is fairly heavy too. Excellent blend, and really a showstopper for me. It was a really great opening act for me in the House of Margiela, and I've been keeping an eye on this brand. You know, a lot of people talk about the Jazz Club one. I don't know if I'm gonna go there yet. I'm looking at others, and we'll see. I think there's a Lemon Tree one that just came out, and some reviewers are talking about it already for the spring and summer. So I might go there. We'll see how that one goes. But let's get into the revolver of this fragrance. I want to tell you a little more details of what I think about this one. Let's get into Seasons. Seasons, this is a no-brainer. It's a fall or winter fragrance. It'll give you some comfort. It's going to give you some warmth. So that's where I feel like it'll be best. You can even cheat a little bit this spring, you know, those rainy spring days or nights. This would work very, very well. Those cooler spring nights. Day or night, I think this one's more of a nighttime fragrance. I can see this daily wear for the right occasion, right? You're going skiing during the day, slap this on. If, you know, you're going snowshoeing, something like that, I think this one would work very, very well just because of its gourmand-like qualities, but the smoky quality too works very well too. Versatility, not too bad during the cooler months. I really think that this one may get limited more into, of course, the warmer months. You don't really want to wear this around that time. Projection and longevity. So let's take a look at some performance. Projection, fairly heavy on me, quite good. I don't know what the other reviewers have said in regards to how much push this fragrance does, but projection is very good. Longevity gave me 7 to 9 hours. So this is the exact type of performance I'm looking for this type of fragrance. I'm looking for heavy. This is not super heavy, but it's heavy. So now on to my overall thoughts on By The Fireplace. Overall, By The Fireplace is exactly what the sticker tells me it's gonna be. It's By The Fireplace, being near a fireplace in a log cabin after a long day of skiing or snowmobiling, and now you're on the bear rug with your woman with the fire going. You know what's gonna happen next. All jokes aside, this fragrance has great depth, gives me that perfect imagery, great use of chestnuts and making it a central theme, but at the same time, the use of Guaiac Woods and vanilla with some spices was masterful here. I really like the blend. I was never really bored. There's some linear feeling to the fragrance. There's not much movement, but this type of fragrance, you don't necessarily need that type of movement. Starting my journey with this brand, this scent truly makes me want to try others from the brand. And that's what you want from a fragrance. It really is a good one. Your take on this one in the comments below. If you have sniffed it, good or bad, or the ugly, let us know in the comments. If not, let us know your favorite from this house. Again, I'm a noob to this brand. I want to delve more into this brand, and any suggestions in the comments below. I would love to hear your take. Now, if you've enjoyed this content, please hit that like button. I certainly appreciate that. Subscribe if you haven't. Let's get those numbers up. If that bell hasn't been hit that bell. Are you part of my notification gang yet? Hey, I got some top 20 lists coming through, and I got a lot of great content coming up, so you don't want to miss that. If you haven't checked me out, I'm also on Twitter. If you haven't gotten enough of me on YouTube, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, on Facebook. You just look up Robes08, or you can take a look at the links down below. I also have a Facebook group that is for everybody on Facebook to join. It's called Fragrance Guru Nation. We are up to 15,200 members. We're coming up to 15,300 members. So thank you to everybody that clicks on these videos and then goes on to Facebook and joins FGN, where we talk fragrances, new releases. People are selling, swapping. I'm talking about reviewers, good or bad. Even me, you can go at it. But certainly I'll check you out on FGN. Now I'm going to leave you with a few takes of my social media. I asked everybody on social media what they thought about this particular fragrance, good or bad, as you know. So you're going to have all that info in the back end of this video as usual. And as always, greater pour fragrance will make a lasting impression. Choose your scent wisely. Thanks for watching, YouTube.